Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Precisely Nowhere, or welcome if you are a new listener. I am currently sitting in my bed recording, so comfy, and had a really great day so far. I'm recording on a Saturday. It is early September, not quite fall vibes yet because I live in Southern California, so it's still in the 90s over here. I think today the high was 94. And yeah, that's like super hot for September, but that is what global warming is going to do. It's going to do that. And I am making the most of it. My boyfriend and I went to the gym earlier this morning and then we swam and hung out by the pool. We both were reading. We actually went swimming and it was so fun to play around in the pool. And no one was in the pool yet. So we had the pool to ourselves. So that was really lovely. It's been a chill day. I hope you're having a good day whenever you're listening to this. And I am super stoked for today's episode because I am a proud Latina and I wanted to remind everyone that Hispanic Heritage Month is a few days away. Every year, Hispanic Heritage Month begins September 15th and ends October 15th. It initially began in 1968, a quick history lesson, as Hispanic Heritage Week in the US and was expanded to a full month in 1988. And the purpose of HHM, which is short for Hispanic Heritage Month, it's a time for Americans to recognize and celebrate like our rich histories and cultures, specifically those of Hispanic and Latino communities in the US and beyond, in my opinion. I don't look at it as just US, even though I do live here and this month-long celebration isn't a thing in other countries. So I am loving the vibes, seeing lots of content in general on my feed celebrating Latinos, but even more so during this time. And the timing of it coincides with the Independence Days of other Latin American countries like Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. Mexico celebrates its independence on September 16th and Chile on September 18th. And there's also Indigenous Peoples Day or Dia de la Raza in mid-October. So a lot of celebration of independence for Latin, Latino, Hispanic communities, and I am here for celebrating that. So this episode is my way of celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month and mi cultura, which is my culture. I was also inspired by my relationship for today's episode. And those of you who know me really well know the backstory of how my boyfriend and I met. But for those of you who do not know, for the first year we were together, we were long distance. And we've been together for 3 years now. So he was based in the suburbs of Chicago. I was living in New York City. And after about a year that we were together, my boyfriend's lease was going to be up, and he decided to move to New York and join me on my move cross country. I was in the midst of starting to plan it, so it was perfect timing. And I had chosen to move before I had started talking to him. I had let him know early on that that was what was happening because I wanted to be closer to my family. Most of my family lives there. I grew up in Southern California, and I spent the first 17 years of my life there. I loved it, but I also fell in love with New York City after moving there, and I moved there for college and spent 12 years of my life there. So I really grew up there, I feel like came into my own, and it is my home away from home. And after spending 12 years there, I decided to move back to Southern California to be closer to my family, my siblings, my nieces, my nephews, my parents. I have a huge family that I love, and it's so nice to be able to drive to them and not always have to fly to them. And I was ready for that life. So my boyfriend took a leap of faith and moved with me. I love that before I moved back, I got to fall in love in a city that is so special to me, and that my boyfriend and I got the experience of living there together and having our own home. And before we, have another home now that we're in California. So, a little bit about him. He spent about 31 years of his life, like in the suburbs of Chicago. So, moving to New York and then moving to Southern California was a huge milestone for him. And first, lots of firsts for the both of us. So, there has been a lot of growing over here, and it ebbs and it flows, but at the end of the day, it is so great. And I wanted to share that background because it's the choices we make in life that impact the experiences that we have. And from the get go, we were both very intentional with what we wanted. And I'm glad that our paths have aligned and that we've taken leaps of faith for each other in the best ways. Like when a good thing comes in your life, sometimes we're not ready to receive it. I've been there with people like in my dating life for sure and in other aspects. And I am working really hard now to be ready to accept when good things come my way and lean into that and vibe with it because the track record is that only more good things come from that. And I'm not saying like everything's rainbows and sunshine. So that's a little bit about us. I never gave him an ultimatum. I was planning to move on my own because I was the one moving back to be near my family. But I was open to the idea of living together and I was falling in love with him. I had already fallen in love with him by the time we started having those conversations. So I knew for me was better to try living together in New York City and see how that goes before we make a bigger move. And I'm glad that we had that time. I'm a believer in, following the good feeling. And fast forward, we've been in California for 2 years, and now we travel to visit his family and friends in Chicago. And also, we travel to visit family and friends in New York. We've hosted family and friends that have visited us. In my opinion, it's all doable to keep relationships strong. It does take a little effort on both ends of relationships to keep making like new memories and experiences, but moving doesn't have to mean that you are sacrificing your friends and family. It just changes the dynamic a bit. And from what I've found, from moving away from my family and then close to them again, and then away from other family is that you just gotta make the effort and you can still have a really special, great relationship. So take those leaps of faith and those opportunities to grow. You never know how they're gonna turn out. When I think about my Hispanic heritage and being Latina, it's like such a vibrant, beautiful culture. It can be loud, but we can also be quiet and we are change makers as a community. That's my like full belief. And family is at the core of everything and has always been important to me and an important part of my life. And when I used to date, there were times when I forgot that. I knew it was important to me, but I forgot how important it was that I was with someone that also understood that. Like, didn't need to have a huge family on their end, but at least understood how important my family was to me and could like vibe with that because not everyone's about that. And that's okay. You do you, boo. But I knew I wanted someone that understood the value of like family. And in the spirit of that, I am going to share tips and tricks when visiting Hispanic families because I have had some crash course lessons and I want to pay it forward. So if you have any Hispanic friends family or are like Hispanic, Latino yourself, you probably know at least one person that doesn't have boundaries. And I can personally relate to that. So it is not a diss, it's a read, and no harm intended. And I'm sure it does not only apply to Hispanic families because I also have blended families. That's why I know best. But if you're not familiar with the read, I highly recommend you watch RuPaul's Drag Race on Paramount Plus. I've talked about it before in past episodes, but it is fire and I love it so much. It always brings me joy and good vibes. So, jumping into a few tips and tricks for when you're visiting Hispanic family, we're going to start with 5 this time. Keep it short and sweet and down to the basics. Make a game plan for how you want to spend your time and coordinate with people in advance. Sounds like common sense. The sooner you're on people's calendars, the less organizing you'll have to do when you're on holiday and trying to enjoy spending time with family and friends. It's not a perfect scenario always, but it can help you get a head start. Tip number 2 is opt for larger gatherings. Only if you know you can vibe with a big group, like with a big group, because that's not everyone's vibe. My boyfriend and I can do that. So if you can, that can help you make the most of your visit and give everyone an excuse to come together. I like to think, and this is a more recent thought that I have started to think now that we're visiting people like at least once a year, is that we help bring people together. We recently experienced on our trip in August that some of the family hadn't gotten together in a couple months because people have been busy. So it was so nice for everyone to come together. And I feel like everyone had a really great time. And I love family bonding and think it's so special to have those moments with like the cousins and the cousins' kids and the tias and the tios and the abuelas. It's just so great, you know? So here for family, my family does that when my aunt and uncle and my cousin come visit from Germany because that's where they live. And it's always so fun. And I feel like I have so many great memories from family bonding. Tip number 3 is set boundaries. It's okay to say no to something that includes a last minute invite or change of plans. I am all for pivoting, but sometimes we have to put ourselves first and say no, just considering that you're visiting, or maybe there's a place that you really want to visit and someone else that lives there wants to go somewhere else, and you're like, oh, but like, I'm the one that's just here temporarily. So can we maybe do that next time? It's okay to say no. It's a reminder I'm telling myself, and it can be a fine line when you're visiting people that you don't see often, or they're just so excited and they mean well, but the boundaries are lacking. So set your boundaries and communicate them. You can do it with kindness. And at the end of the day, you're just visiting. So if someone gets a little upset with you, hopefully it's not the end of the world. And you're going to go back home. They're going to go back home and then you're going to see each other again. It's going to be all gravy. Tip number 4 is give yourself downtime. Take a break from socializing. I love a social event, but I also love a recharge day or a recharge nap or a recharge walk. So there's lots of different ways we recharge as individuals. Know what works for you and bake that into your visit. It can go a long way, speaking from experience on both ends of not giving myself that time and giving myself that time. And I always feel my best when I give myself a little bit of downtime, even if it's a 30-minute power nap in between whatever you did earlier in the day and dinner, or yeah, an extra pep in the step, making sure you drink coffee maybe that day because you're gonna be busy. 15 minutes to lay down and close your eyes, go on a walk, sit in silence. There's so many different small ways we can recharge. Tip number 5 is if you're staying with family, consider if it's an environment you're comfortable spending a lot of time in. Remember, you're taking the holiday, and while it's more cost effective to stay with family, and it's also great because you get to catch up with them more, a few days at a hotel to get away could be a fun way to make the holiday even more special and give yourself recharge time, or if you're traveling with like family or like significant other or a friend, just have bonding time amongst the people traveling. So lots of different ways to approach staying with family and making it an enjoyable experience for everyone. I went and visited my aunt in Germany a couple years ago, and it coincided with a girls' trip. And we stayed there for a couple days. Then we had gone away for a couple days. We came back for a week, and then we went and traveled, and then we came back one more time. So over the course, it was a few weeks. It's like maybe like almost a month, but we weren't there the whole time. And we had so many great experiences the times that we were there. So find what works for you. Don't be afraid to get creative and make the most of your holiday. We all work hard and we deserve to enjoy our experiences, even if it involves going to visit family and friends. You can plus it up. So I hope these tips help the next time you visit family or friends. And when you're visiting, it's also inevitable, in my experience, that you run into a few different scenarios that you might not run into in your normal, like day to day when you're at home, which is like people that you might not interact with as often who take offense very easily to things you might say, or they forget that you're the one visiting them. And remember to just lean into your holiday, make the most of it. It's not the last time that you're going to see them, hopefully, and you'll catch them on the next one, or they can visit you. Practicing these tips have gone a long way with helping me feel more empowered. And I know that the more I practice them, they're going to help me continue to feel empowered and add to my experience and hopefully my boyfriend's experience. And it's always great to keep ourselves in mind in anything in life along with other people, because we are people too, and we have to feel our best and do our best to show up for others. So, if you try any of these tips and tricks out, I would love to hear about your experience. So, please DM me on IG, and I would love to share your experiences. My handle is in the episode description, and you can hit me up on my personal handle or on Precisely Nowhere. We're a couple weeks away from fall. The first day of fall is also known as the autumnal equinox, and that is when we start autumn in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, they are going to be starting spring, but we are going into fall on Monday, September 22nd. So I wanted to share a pre-fall bucket list as a fun way to approach the next couple weeks, because we're not there yet. And I am all about staying in the present, despite the fact that everywhere around me, from like Starbucks to Target to like any stores already onto Christmas, we're only in September. So I'm taking the next few weeks to mentally prepare for fall, think about what I want to accomplish in this next season of life. And because we are literally entering a new season. And if you're listening to this in the Southern Hemisphere, then think about what you want to accomplish in this next season of spring. For me, a few things are on my list, and I'm sharing them as inspiration. How I'm going to knock them off is going to happen all on their own. I don't have a time frame for anything, but it's a exciting list to keep taking baby steps towards the ideal future that I want. So, bucket list item number 1 is continue therapy. As of this month, it's been a year since I started therapy again. I've been consistently going every 2 weeks, and I am not ashamed to say that because it is one of my favorite things that I get to do that day when I have it and it comes around. There's been a lot of change in the world and in my life in the last couple of years, and I acknowledge that I need some help on managing that change and managing this season and lifetime of growth that's happening in a short amount of time. So, since I last started, I have also started couples therapy recently, and I'm super excited about that with my boyfriend. We're doing it as an opportunity for us to strengthen our communication because we are very in it in our relationship. And when I say in it, I mean we're both in it for life. We see a future for a lifetime, and I love that. And so we both want to do the work to have that strong foundation. And therapy has been helping me grow individually, and I'm excited to see how it helps me grow with my boyfriend in our relationship. It's not always easy growing, but it's worth it. And I love that I'm showing up for myself in different settings and ways that I wasn't consistently doing before. And it's not only benefiting me, but my relationships. And this isn't to say that my life was in shambles before I started therapy. I was fine, but I knew I wasn't my best. And so that is why I decided to go so that I could get back to a state where I felt like I was my best. So that is on my list. I'm ranting because I'm very passionate about therapy, as you probably know from listening to this podcast. If you've listened to a handful of episodes, I am very passionate about growing and normalizing talking about it because as a millennial, I grew up on the tail end of my parents don't fully believe in therapy, and not all of them, but none of them I think have ever gone to therapy, and one of them is actively not supportive of going themselves. So when you grow up in that mentality of it not being supported or like it being taboo, it's this like fearful unknown thing, and I want to normalize talking about it because I think it's so important that we take care of ourselves mentally and we take advantage of the tools that are out there to help us because we can only be better with them. On that note, bucket list item number 2 is allowing myself to rest and recharge more. Life is ebbing and flowing, but I felt around my birthday recently that I knew I needed recharging, and I took the time to do that. And I want to be more intentional to make that part of my routine. When I was single and in my 20s, I had a lot more energy and time, even before the podcast. And I love the podcast, but I didn't always need a recharge. And in my life now, I need that recharge because I have a lot of things that I'm juggling, passions, interests, and those are all good vibes. But it means that I need to also give myself to recharge and rest so that I can bring my best self to each day. Bucket list item number 3 is practicing gratitude. I am trying to continue keeping it part of my routine because I know that I feel better when I focus on the good in my life, and it helps settle and keep me at ease, especially with the state of the world in general. So, putting it out there that practicing gratitude, not only for us, but for others, paying it forward and sharing gratitude is on my list. Making time for play is bucket list item number 4. Recently, I've been dedicating more of my time towards play. For me, one of those ways of playing is interior design. I finally finished the gallery wall in our living room. My boyfriend helped me put it up, but it was my labor of love project, from picking out some of the new prints to framing them and then, coordinating it on the wall. And I'm so proud of myself. We have one above the couch in our living room and one next to our TV in our living room. They are just everything. It's so nice to look at them. My boyfriend gave me the biggest compliment and said it was giving Hogwarts, which, if you don't know, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan and I love the vibes. And if you watch Hogwarts, it's like, think about, in Hogwarts where they go to all their like rooms and there's the walls with pictures and everything has its own vibe and character, but it all works together. And that is what we're going for. And when we do a fun print from Harry Potter when Snape became headmaster at Hogwarts, and it is like the newspaper looks like the newspaper, but the image looks like it's moving. Oh, it's so great. Making time for play, continuing to do that. And I know that it's bringing me joy. And I know it might sound silly, like making time for play, but we used to do it as children. We need to still do it as adults. And I'm not saying like we all need to do that to be happy, but I think we would be a little happier if we did find play in our lives, make time for play. And I will share a recent episode that I did that explains more about how to make time for play and how to even find your play style in the episode description for you to check out. Bucket list number 5 is plan my next holiday. So I recently put my holiday requests far in advance with my manager. I got them approved. Now I'm starting to plan the trips. Some of them are like weddings or annual trips with family. So the planning part is mostly buying the plane ticket. So that's my immediate next step. Super excited for that. And have a lot of fun things in store next year. So I will be sharing more on that once I have things a little bit more planned. And last but not least, checking in with friends. The summer flew by, 2025 has been flying by, and I have been taking time to catch up with them. I love a FaceTime or like phone call to catch up, and it has been very lovely. Trying to be better at nurturing my friendships because they are so important to me, and I have these people that I love in my life and I want them in my life forever. So, gotta make the effort. To wrap up today's episode, I have a ton of great recs for you. They are all within the theme of Hispanic Heritage Month, meaning they all celebrate the culture, and I am super stoked to jump in. And I wanted to include things that were not only based where I live, but in some of the other cities that I've recently visited because I want to support all of my Latin, Latino, Hispanic business owners and La Gente. So, rec number 1 is Karol G's album Tropicoqueta. That album is vibe. It came out this summer. There's lots of congas. She has such a range. Latina Forever is my favorite song on that album, but there are so many great songs. I have truly listened to it on repeat so many times, and it is fire. So give it a listen. Wednesday on Netflix. There's 2 seasons out. By the time I'm recording this, season 2 part 1 is out, but part 2 is not out. If you haven't watched the series at all, I highly recommend it. Start with season 1. Some of the leads in it are Jenna Ortega. She plays Wednesday Adams from the one and only Adams Family. Catherine Zeta-Jones plays her mom, Morticia Adams. And Luis Guzman plays Gomez Adams, which is Wednesday's dad. Isaac Ordonez, he plays Pugsley Adams, which is Wednesday's brother. So I love that it is very prominent of Latinos. It is spooky, kooky, and I love Wednesday styles. So check it out. Rec number 3 is Acapulco. That is on Apple TV. It's set mainly in the 1980s. It goes like from the 1980s to like present future. And I just started watching season 1. There's 4 seasons. In 1984, Maximo Gallardo's dream comes true when he gets the job of a lifetime at Acapulco's hottest resort in Las Colinas. But he soon realizes that working there will be far more complicated than he ever imagined. This is an episode description I have pulled from online. So there is that aspect to it, but the music, the fashion, I really appreciate that a lot of it is Spanglish. So people are speaking Spanish and also English. And you see the impact of gentrification in a way, but it really celebrates the culture and the people, and you see the impact that the people make at the resort. So, highly recommend that show. Um, one of my friends also recommended it to me. I hadn't started watching it yet, and he was like, "You have to watch this." So, shout out to you. And the next one is Real Housewives of Miami. I love my housewives, not gonna lie. I just do. And people don't understand them. It's not for everyone. It can be a lot, but I don't really have drama in my personal life. So it's also, I get a little bit of my fix from the show, which I feel like is healthy because it's better to have that than have it in my like actual day to day. Season 7 is currently airing. There are lots of Latinas in the cast, which is one of the things I really love the most about it because I love seeing my culture represented, and we don't relate one to one fully with what these ladies are going through and what the paths that they've walked, but there are those general cultural similarities that I can resonate with. They go to Spain in this recent season, and I have not been to Sevilla. I really want to go to Sevilla, and it looks so beautiful. Um, the next rec is Mi Cultura. That is a store in downtown Riverside, California. It is, if you could take like Mexico and put it in a store and have lots of culture in there, it is such a vibe. They have art, they have some clothes, they have books, they have home decor. It's a little bit of everything. I have a few things in my house from there. This really beautiful napkin holder that's like ceramic and painted with like blue flowers. And then this like really cool heart on the wall that has flames. I love that store. I would probably say it's one of my favorite stores to shop at for authentic things. There are a lot of items in the store that are made in Mexico, and I love that they're supporting la gente, and that I have a little piece of that in my home. Next is Olvera Street. That is located in Los Angeles. It is this historic little street, and there's lots of vendors and restaurants, and there's lots of great Mexican food. You can also buy, it's like a little mini Mexico, and you can buy art. We have an art print in our apartment that is a calavera, like a skull looking person, and it's Freddie Mercury. So lots of cool things there. Check out if that's your vibe. Palo Fiero is the next rec. That is a restaurant in Rancho Cucamonga, California. It is very close to our apartment and has bomb food. My go-to order is ceviche de camarón and an agua fresca de pepino. It's so good. You get it with 2 tostadas, and they have a lot of other food though, like really great tacos, pozole, menudo. They have platters. They used to do flan. Oh, their flan was so good. But highly recommend you check it out. It's very family vibes. I think it might be family owned, and everyone in there is so lovely. Porto's Bakery and Cafe is my next rec, and there that is California based and is family owned. It is from a Cuban family and came out of the love of Rosa Porto's love for sharing her wonderful cakes and pastries with her family. So she used to make them and share them, and then they opened their first Portos in 1976, and there's multiple locations, but the food is so good. We went to eat there the day before my birthday, my boyfriend and I, and it in the West Covina location, and it is really pretty in there. There's very big windows, and you can see trees, and it's just a vibe. The next rec is BAQBA, Bakba. It's in San Bernardino, California. The Mexican grill. Think Chipotle, but add authenticity to it because the people behind the grill know what's up. Like, and they will hook you up, and that is also gives you family vibes. The salad burrito bowl that I got was really good, and my boyfriend got like a regular burrito bowl. Sugared at Venus is my next rec. It is sugaring hair removal. So if you've ever like heard of Brazilian wax, or you know, getting a Brazilian or getting a bikini wax, for the ladies down there, and men too, all are welcome. But the sugaring is a more eco-friendly and more like sensitive on the skin. And I don't really have sensitive skin, but better for my skin. And I have been doing that for a few months now. I go to a location in Ontario, California, and it is so great and also independently owned. I am pretty sure she's in her 20s, but she's killing it. She is Latina, and I am here to support. In the summer, it has been really nice doing the sugaring. My hair is growing back less and a little bit thinner, which is nice because, sorry for the TMI, but I'm just 100% Latino, and your girl she has a lot of hair. So it's nice to find little ways of self-care, and I'm not going to be ashamed about that. And if you find yourself in the area, check her out. It is really great. I will include the link in the episode description. Drafted is my next plug. It is a media brand that speaks sports through the lens of Latina culture. I first came across this company because someone that I follow on LinkedIn had liked their post, and then it popped up on my feed, and I immediately was drawn in by the post. And I am going to share what the post said in the graphic to give you a little tease of what the vibe of this company is. 80% of Latina fans buy sports merch for others compared to 58% of white female fans. So in this post, the CEO and founder, Karina Martinez, goes on to talk about how, they don't just buy sports merch, they move it, and speaks to the impact that Latinas have, and that this isn't just a stat, it's a cultural force. We aren't just buying, we're building sports culture at home and across generations. We're the ones who make sure everyone has the gear, not just for the game, but the family barbecue, the tailgate, and the watch parties. And that if your brand isn't centering Latinas in your marketing and product development, you're not just missing a market, you're missing the moment. So I love her standing on business and showing the impact that Latinas have. And I love that this company is centered around that ethos. So check them out. They're doing really cool stuff. I love to see everything they post on LinkedIn. And the next plug is Nide Jardín. This is a store in Aurora, Illinois. It's a plant store, but they are also connected to a coffee shop that's really cute. And there's a couple small little like pods that you can take like a meeting in, which I love. In Nide Jardín, they have art. They have these really cute tote bags with things that some of them are in Spanish, some of them are in Spanglish. And They have planters, so many cute things. The tote bags were my favorite, along with some of the plants. I mean, there was lots of plants that I wanted to get, but we live in California, so can't really travel with a huge ass tree back home. The last but not least, and there will be many more in the future, is the Calitlan restaurant. That's in Aurora, and it's family owned. The food is bomb. I've had the tacos, caldo de camarón, chips and salsa, horchata. Everything is so good. It's quality food and quality service in a family environment. And it reminds me a lot of Palo Fiero, which I racked earlier. And it's an environment you'd imagine if you went to like your Thea's house. And it's near and dear to my boyfriend's family. They know the owners. His mom is like best friends with one of the owners, and they've been friends for years. So it's in the fam, and a spot that I always love to hit up when we go visit my boyfriend's fam. So that is this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I get really passionate about my Hispanic heritage and family and love to pay it forward. So I hope the tips and tricks go a long way the next time you visit family or friends, and you have lots of recs to check out if you are a TV watcher or a foodie or want to celebrate some small businesses and support them. And last but not least, we're not in fall yet, but we are approaching it. So use this time, if you're listening when this episode comes out, to think about how you want to prepare for fall. Are there little ways that you can, or little intentions that you can set to take those baby steps towards your ideal future and get you to a place where you feel your best? Thank you all for listening. I love you. Talk soon.
Music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at midnight, MIDNITE_mind80 on Instagram for more of his work.